first thing that we want to talk about is Ripple, right? So obviously transition subjects, talking about Travis, like whatever. But so, okay, exactly what is it? Because I mean, we know, we've watched videos of like what exactly it is, right?
Right.
But like to anybody listening, what would be the little pitch, and then what would be the why too?
Yeah.
I think both of those go hand in hand.
Yeah. So Ripple is a digital service provider specializing in celebration of life events. So primarily memorial services or anniversaries. So we work with families that recently lost a loved one or are expecting to lose a loved one or are celebrating the anniversary. We compile different media, so photos, videos, eulogies, interviews like this, anything where you can reflect on your family member or friend, compile that into one video that's edited professionally. And that video can be shared across the world. So families have shared it through social media at ceremonies and celebrations. And this was really started during the pandemic is kind of where I came up with the idea. And it was kind of a way to shift the in-person funeral setting that all of us know to the digital landscape, which the pandemic really required and demanded. And I think kind of to get into the why, think about situations where your parents are probably getting to the age where they're losing a lot of people around them. So friends, parents, and obviously you hold those people really close to you, but you can't always on a Tuesday night fly across the country and attend. And Ripple kind of allows you to be a part of that experience from really anywhere that you are.
Yeah. Like I had told you, but I was like talking with my dad about this before, about like what Ripple does. And I mean, obviously it's super sad, but a family friend, he's on hospice right now.
Right.
And his wife has COVID. So she can't, who knows what's going to happen, And I mean, it's scenarios like that where I see that come up that who knows, like that could just like, I don't know, like that could just be so, what would the word be? Like, what closure do you get if you can't be there, or if you can't like celebrate like the life of like what it could be? So I mean, was there like I guess more specifically, like just because I'm curious, like was it a thing that you had in your brain like for a few weeks and you're like, okay, maybe I'll pursue it, or was it something that just hit you and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this right now?
So it was a actual situation with my family. So and it was kind of, the timing of it was kind of weird. So it was junior year. Kind of end of the pandemic, but still a weird transition period where it's like mask 1 month, mask not the others, kind of back and forth. And I'm enrolled in this business incubator class. So we're about to get put into our teams of 4. So me and my cousins, like I was telling you, we're all going on this trip together. So our dads are actually identical twins. So we're all really close, like DNA wise, half siblings. And their grandma, so like their grandparents on their mom's side, like we consider our grandparents kind of like one big family, and their grandma was super sick and kind of just passed away suddenly. So only their family flew down to Florida for the funeral, but the rest of us just participated on it through Zoom. So like the funeral home offered like a Zoom platform, and it was just like a mess. People were unmuted, talking over each other. And it was like such a poor way to celebrate her life. And like you said, like I did not get any closure from that experience. So that was kind of, at this time I was in the class. So I took that experience and I'm like, there has to be like a different way to do this. How can we make this work? And my aunt, who lost her mom, kind of helped me come up with the idea, quite frankly. So she thought of different ways. So there's a wedding service called The Knot. They offer, I don't know if you may have heard of it.
I have not.
Yeah. So they offer like all-in-one services, planning your wedding from start to finish. And we kind of thought like we can replicate this for funerals. So we thought of like meal services, so like helping families like set up meals, because that's a big thing. Like people get sent like a bunch of food one day while they're grieving, and then none the next day. So kind of like planning it out. Flower services, like contribution management, stuff like that. So that was kind of the original idea. But when I brought like my experience to my business incubator group, like they kind of had similar experiences that they had during the pandemic. So they were on Zoom for funerals, and they had really poor experiences. So we kind of all, my group, my aunt, we kind of all came up with this idea and started to work on it. Yeah, it's kind of how it started.
So like now that you kind of have it going, have you been like trying to pitch it to funeral homes to like kind of get it I mean, I guess that's like the best way to kind of find a customer, right? To like, kind of pitch it to a funeral home, or like how do you kind of advertise it or like get it out there?
Right. So at the start, we were kind of trying to meet with funeral homes, pitching the idea, and a lot of them saw us as a competitor to them. So they started offering like very basic video editing services during the pandemic, but it's different than ours because ours is like a professional service, and they didn't really understand that. So we kind of shifted plans and started approaching like senior living facilities, hospice centers. So we formed a few different partnerships with different senior living homes in the Chicagoland area, and we kind of issue them different brochures and marketing materials. We've gone in and done a few different like speaking panels with their residents. So we'll come in, speak to their they'll send out an RSVP to their residents. They can come hear us speak about like what Ripple is and like how their family can learn more about it. That's kind of been the main way to get the word out there.
Yeah. One thing that I'm specifically curious about, I know you kind of hinted at it just now when you said like ours are like professional.
Right.
But what'd be the difference between like kind of gathering video things and like chopping it up in iMovie versus like what makes like you guys so professional?
So like so I don't actually do any of the video editing.
Okay.
One of my partners, he does, one of the co-founders, he does like all that. Him and his sibling do all the editing. So we've kind of outsourced some of it to his sibling, but in like this, we're still in the startup phase, but like for most of the projects, he was doing all the editing. I know, a lot of people just do like very basic slideshows, just like photos, but these are like, we have 4K cameras where we're able to like go to people's houses, film them doing different interviews, and like most people aren't really able to do that while they're grieving. So it's not that we stand out as a competitor against other video editing services. It's that we're a business that's there when you need it most. We're a business that you can rely on like when you're going through that. Like most families aren't going to spend hours like sitting down editing videos while they're losing someone. Like that's not exactly what most people are like able to do in times of grieving. So that's kind of another way that like we're able to stand out.
Yeah. You mentioned that you go to people's houses or you can go to people's houses?
Yeah. So it's definitely been difficult as all of us are like in college now.
Yeah.
But I know in the summer we filmed someone's obituary. Actually, was another service that we added. So we kind of sat down with her, ran through her entire obituary. So she was reading her own obituary, which was something that was pretty cool. So she was in a workshop, had wrote her own obituary, looking back on her life, and then she was reading it for our camera, which would then be, and she's in like perfectly fine health, but when she does pass, like it would be sent to family. So we've done that. We've also done different filming events with families, primarily when they're celebrating an anniversary of the loved one, because it's just kind of difficult to do it like right as they lose someone. They just don't have enough time.
No, yeah, it's nice to have like a little celebration piece to kind of like share, especially for like an anniversary.
Yeah, and that's cool that you brought up the word like celebration, because that's another thing that when we were thinking of it is like also like funerals don't need to be sad. Like we don't really ever say the word death when we're speaking with clients. Like we like to use like celebration of life, memorial service, and kind of like shifting it to like a celebratory event.
One thing that's just in my head right now is we obviously have had a lot of conversations with people that are working on whatever they may be working on, right?
Right.
And I mean, you've experienced this too. Like there's businesses that kind of you make money, right? And that's kind of like that's what's awesome about them. But as well as like, you get to provide value. But in something like this, you actually get to talk with the families you're helping, right? And I mean, I just want to hear a little bit like how like powerful, or I mean, you get to see the whole process through and be able to see how you're helping somebody else in their life,
right?
Especially at the time they might need it most.
Yeah.
So like, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, at the start, it was really tricky. We're teenage boys trying to approach families. I think I definitely had a lot of growth in like learning how to speak with people in that regard, how to be mindful of what they're going through and kind of put yourself in their shoes. Like one story I'd like to highlight. So a lot of like our earlier on clients were people using the anniversary package. They had lost loved ones during the pandemic and didn't do anything for the celebration of life service. They just kind of had something with their family, something really small. They did as much as they could, and they wanted to use Ripple as a way to kind of reflect on the life, bring everyone back. That's kind of what we kind of call like the reflection package. So you're looking back on the life that you lost. And so this woman lost her husband to cancer during the pandemic. And I think 2 years had passed almost. So she wanted to make this video. She had all the footage. We did a couple interviews with different family members to include. And I remember she just told us, like, after watching this video, like, I feel like his life is complete. Like, it kind of allowed her to, like, have that closure that she didn't have before. And it's, like, stories like that really, like, embody, like, what it is for us to, like, work with families. And, yeah, it was definitely difficult at the start. I think all of us have learned a lot from working with different families in that regard.
Were you 17 at the time? 18?
I was 17.
Dang.
I had just turned 17.
Dude, I feel like I wasn't even mature enough at like 17 to be having like, because obviously like when you're having a conversation with a family or like anyone about like that, one, obviously you have to be very serious and like understanding.
Right.
Like being serious may not be like a hard part, but like being able to show like empathy or like sympathy towards them is like being compassionate is a little bit difficult, especially at 17. So that's like, it's pretty impressive.
100%, especially with people that like you don't really know.
Yeah, that's like difficult. So I don't know if you don't have to share this if you do, but like what do you guys charge for like one like package, I guess?
Yeah.
Like say you're doing a video for like an anniversary, like what do you, is it based on like how long it is or?
Yeah, so it varies. So we came up with a pricing formula. So we have it just on like an Excel spreadsheet, and we just input. So there's like a base price that also includes like a free 30-minute consultation that we offer to all families. So we'll input the amount of photos and then the amount of videos that are edited, and those all have like a flat rate. I would say on average people have like anywhere from 7 to 10-minute videos that usually range from $400 to $500. That's kind of on average. Some people have shorter, some people have longer. That's kind of a rough range.
Yeah. You said you founded this during COVID, right? And that was our sophomore year of high school.
When it started.
That was your freshman year.
So it started like
you told me it was that weird like post-COVID time, right?
So it was so COVID was my like end of my freshman year, all of my sophomore year. So this was start of junior year.
Oh,
so,
I see.
So it was, you guys were seniors. So it was kind of like
Oh yeah.
It was
like,
that weird time.
We were back in school fully, but it was like
masks on and off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah,
towards the end of it.
Before that, I mean, you've been doing stuff like your whole life, right? And I mean, we want to talk about sneakers in a little bit and what exactly that looked like. But was that, for context, was that your first thing, or were there things before that you think that contextualized that?
Before sneakers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of have my background in entrepreneurship is pretty similar to a lot of people. So lemonade stands, lemonade stands, snow shoveling, did all of that early on, summers after school. But I'd say one of like the first things I did 6th grade was like selling literally anything. So I would sell like stickers, streetwear. So obviously the sneaker industry falls under the category of like luxury streetwear, the types of stuff I was selling. And my first kind of introduction to that was through like clothing. So I would sell mainly Supreme, was a big brand back in the day.
Supreme patty.
Yeah. So I would sell a lot of Supreme stuff. Very like small scale. But that kind of led me into sneakers. So yeah.
And then where are we at timeline now? That's just
so this is like 6th to 7th
grade.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, 6th, 7th grade.
I was playing Minecraft every night, bro.
That's
crazy.
And then like end of 7th, starting 8th is when I kind of started to transition into the sneakers.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Damn. Wait. So you started sneakers in 8th grade?
Sneakers started in 2018, 8th grade.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw it 2018, but I didn't process that was 8th grade for you.
Yeah.
Because even, I mean, you probably feel this too. 2018 seems like, it doesn't seem like that long ago.
It doesn't. I feel like we're in 2020 right now.
Yeah, that whole, I felt like a void of 2 years.
Yeah, we just like missed 2 years. So
yeah.
that's why
2018 doesn't sound like long.
Yeah, but it's like 5 years ago. So.
Yeah,
That's
a while.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, bro, it's about to be what, 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
6.
Yeah, if you're
That's
counting
ridiculous.
January.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So 2018 is when the sneakers really started.
Damn. So I mean, yeah, we're saying sneakers right now, but do you want to give? I mean, I guess we kind of just. But do you want to give a little bit more context of what exactly that looked like as well? Because when I was looking through it all, it was like software and all this, but I'm like, okay, like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
You know.
So sneakers were. I would say there was kind of like 2 different phases of my sneaker reselling career. So the first was very small. So selling like 5 pairs a week, going in person to
Gary V action.
malls. Yeah, like small scale, flipping used shoes on OfferUp, making $20 a pair, nothing high end at all. So that was kind of the first half of it. So my brother actually started sneaker reselling before me. He didn't end up doing it as long as I did. He kind of phased out, but that was kind of how I got into it through him. So we were doing malls. It was a side hustle.
He's older.
Yeah,
Freshman?
he's older.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so he's a junior.
Okay.
College.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was just like
years,
it was a side hustle, honestly. Like just flipping pair by pair, going to the malls, manual, everything on my own. And then I was introduced to sneaker bots, automation software.
Enlighten us.
Yeah.
So
Please tell us more.
These are programs that software engineers have developed that they sell to the public in limited quantities, and they pretty much allow you to automate the process of buying a shoe online. So
Damn, I'm hearing money potential.
So it's the perfect way to scale up a business of this nature.
To say, yeah.
So I was introduced to those, and I started with that. I had no idea what I was doing. So you were like watching YouTube videos, trying to learn like how do I use this software I just spent $500 on, was kind of where I was at. But kind of this was like 2020 when the pandemic started, and everything. So part of the reason why I got into sneaker bots, all of the stock and inventory that retailers had shifted to online. No one was going in person anymore to buy shoes, so there was a lot of potential there. Everything was shifted online for the most part. A few things in store, but nothing crazy. I guess I should give a little bit more like context on the whole sneaker reselling thing. So in like short, pretty much purchasing sneakers from retailers for retail price. These are sneakers that have like very limited quantity, huge market for them, people that are collectors, people that want to wear them. A lot of these sneakers will double in resale value, different ways to sell them through like third parties. So that's kind of was my jam. So I got into the bots and I started slowly learning how to use them, and I was able to like get a few pairs online. So I was like, oh, like this is worth it. I made my money back on the box. I got 2-3 pairs. And I just started getting really good at it. A lot of mentorship. I joined a Discord group where they taught me how to use them, how to scale your business, all this stuff that like you think would be a scam but is actually useful. And I don't remember exactly my first release where I like really hit it big, but there was releases earlier on. So it was like all Saturdays. I would like go out with friends on Friday, come home at like midnight, set up the bot from like midnight to 3 a.m. because it's like a lot of work. Like it's automated once the shoe releases, but everything before is like different methods of ways to like utilize it to its best capacity. So I'm up at 4, and then the first retailer usually drops at like 6 a.m. So I sleep for like 2 hours, and this is like every Saturday for years. So sleep is non-existent at this point.
So I think I'm just a little confused on this whole bot thing. So you purchased a software called Sneaker Bots.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of like adjust the bot to work for you so that it does
it purchase?
Yeah, so you'll like upload all of your information, so like your addresses, your credit cards, using virtual credit cards, and then it pretty much the bot like mimics you going on the website to purchase it, but at like a really fast speed and like hundreds of times.
it'll do it like right when it
Yeah.
Right
so
when
is
it
that
opens.
when Taylor Swift tickets will drop and then immediately like everything will sell out.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of it's consumer demand, but it's some of it bots as well.
So like it actually is illegal to bot ticket websites. That's the only like industry that has any like legislation on it. But yeah, similar to that, where something drops online and like you click the add to cart button and it's sold out in a second. Like those are most likely bots purchasing.
Like who are these people?
Right.
So sneakers,
stuff like
sneakers
that.
You're allowed to bot. Like
yeah, so
like
there's
that's like allowed or
yes.
Okay.
So there's nothing illegal about it.
Okay. Wow.
Unless the developers are using like back end APIs that like aren't public, but for the most part, like they're just. I don't know anything about how sneaker bots are developed, but they're pretty much mimicking human interaction with the website to purchase shoes.
Okay.
There are 3 paths I want to go down with this.
Yeah. I know this is like a lot to like.
As in like directions of conversation that I would think are like very interesting conversations I want to have with you. Okay. So first, right? Yeah, I guess this was the first one. So like we're saying sneakers, reselling, all that cool stuff. But it's kind of like when we were talking to Aiden, it's like, okay, but how much does this really do? You know what I mean? Yeah. And we were actually talking about this on the phone earlier, right?
Right.
But I think just to contextualize, but also to give some, I guess, like motivation as we were talking to like younger kids that like want to get into it. How much did you end up actually like pocketing and like did this generate? Yeah.
So to contextualize it, so I would say on average I'm getting 50 to 100 pairs each release. So over my 4-year span of sneaker reselling, I sold 3,400 pairs of sneakers, which generated a little bit over $800,000 in revenue. Bottom line, $200,000. So I took home $200,000 from sneaker reselling.
That's awesome, bro.
Dude, that's a lot. I mean, like,
so like that's so awesome.
Life changing.
Because like, how many years was that?
Like a little bit less than 5.
Okay, I mean, you're also like a freshman in high school, so 8th grade. So
damn. Oh yeah, because that was before.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
so like it was life changing for sure.
It's like $40K a year.
Yeah.
So.
Damn. Yeah.
And most of that was made honestly within like a 2-year span, because like the other years before I'm making like $5,000 a year.
Right.
And then other years is like are $100,000 years.
Yeah.
So I just want to get like the full story of how this works.
Yeah.
But so you get the sneakers from the bot during the drop or whatever.
Yeah. So like you get them, you get the confirmation.
Yeah. They don't come to your house. Oh, they do ship to your house.
Yeah.
So now you have to find the buyers yourself.
Yeah.
So how is that?
Yeah. So I had like a few different channels of selling. So when I was small, I was selling just like direct to consumer. So I'm just selling like on Instagram. I had an Instagram page or Snapchat. So kids at school, I'm sure you see people trying to sell stuff all the time. But once I started getting bigger, so I was using kind of the 3 channels were StockX, GOAT, which are 3 different places that resell sneakers above the retail price. Sellers sell, they get 80% of the 80%, and then the StockX or GOAT takes 20% commission. That was a big way at the start, but then I kind of learned about consignment through one of my friends. So I would consign a lot of my pairs at Stadium Goods, which is like an in-person and online retailer. And their thing is like they charge a lot higher than you would get for StockX or GOAT, but like you're waiting a lot longer for your pairs to sell. So I would kind of have to think about the market, which pairs, even down to the size, like what style and what size made the most sense to like put in Stadium Goods. And which ones made the most sense to just send straight to StockX. StockX was like, it's a lot easier. So you just sell it on there. You don't have to take photos or anything. Send it to them. They'll verify the sneaker and then issue you a payout. Stadium Goods is a little bit more complex, but it just kind of depended on the market.
Implicitly with what we were just talking about was actually like the next thing that I wanted to go into a little bit. So you started when the whole thing was probably 4 years?
Yeah.
That sound about right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to imagine this for other people, but that was 4 years of what? Like 2 hours of sleep Saturday nights.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe not all the time, but you put a lot of input.
A lot. Like school was not a priority. Like I was doing fine in school. Obviously it's not the most important years of your academic career, but like school was not a priority. Like I would, like right after school I was at like packaging the shoes took hours. I didn't have like employees or anything. It's all like a one-man show. So yeah, like stuff like that, like it takes up a lot of time.
Yeah, and I mean, I think about it with Aiden, like Austin, Casper, all like, and then you as well. Like all these people that have like achieved great amounts of success at our age or close to our age, right? And I mean, a lot. It's other things. It's being able to kind of see an opportunity and all that. But like one of the big things that's just constant across all of them is just reps, right? Just reps, time, just taking more than other people are willing to put in, right?
Right.
So that was incredibly important to you, right? Just the amount of time.
100%.
Yeah, it just keeps getting reinforced in my head more and more.
Yeah, no, and also like you said, with sneakers, like it was nothing. I wasn't doing anything unique. I didn't create a market. I didn't create a demand. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry that's existed since like the 80s. As soon as the Jordan came out, there was a demand for high-end sneakers, and I just saw an opportunity and learned ways to get more pairs every single time.
Yeah, and you also knew people that accelerated how quickly you learned too.
Right.
And when you pair those things.
Exactly. And it's a huge community. Like community is a great thing in all aspects, but in this specific like business, it's a large community of everyone trying to help each other out. Everyone knows different people. People know people at stores. People know everything that's changing, and knowing those people obviously just benefits you so much.
Yeah. So why'd you stop? Just too much school or?
Yeah. There's like a few different reasons. So the market just as a whole really died out. So many people like became interested in it. So many people started doing it, and the demand didn't change. So it's like basic economics, but you have like way more sellers,
Shout out Ziani, man.
Same amount of buyers. So, and it's a lot of people that were really new into it, just like tanking the price. Like undercutting became a really big thing, and the margins just like were there and like still are, but it's like was never worth it. And kind of a second reason, a lot of these websites really started to crack down on bots. So a lot of them stopped working, and a lot of them kind of became useless. You weren't really able to use them. So it's like if you go from getting 50 pairs with X margin, and then you go to getting 2 pairs with a lower margin, it's like not really worth it.
Yeah.
And just school. I think I learned to value school more. That was something that I was like more passionate about. Kind of got more engaged in my learning and started to think about college, because in the peak of sneaker reselling, I was like, no college, I'm not going. I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. I'm gonna figure it out.
Iman Gadzi.
Yeah. I'm gonna figure it out. Like I'm not doing college. Nothing against school. I'm not doing it. But quickly learned like no, school is something that I value. College is something I want to pursue. And I think this is something I'm like trying to work on right now. But it's just like I get bored. Like I was doing the same thing for 4 years. It's like I want new opportunities. I want new things.
Yeah, you kind of like gained not everything, but you gained a lot from sneaker reselling, and you wanted to like move on to your next thing, which is what was like the gap between sneaker selling and then like you focusing on Ripple.
Yeah, like pretty much back to back.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I still was sneaker reselling junior year, but like it slowed down a lot and then kind of quickly transitioned into that. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Always focusing on something entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
That's good.
When you get dosed with it early, man.
Hey, that's
very early.
You. Yeah, we talked about a little bit mentorship and what it meant for your success.
Yeah.
Right. Accelerated it and also like brought you to where you are today. And that's where we were like it was so awesome. Like I sent you the you know where I'm
yeah. This is here, I'll let you say it, but like this is I thought this was really cool.
So are you 19?
18.
Damn, okay.
I'm young, so I'm August birthday.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. So as an 18-year-old, you started a scholarship at your high school, nearby OPRF.
Yeah.
Right. Was this something that you had thought about for a while? Like, I want to actually give back, and like, what pushed you to do it? Right.
Yeah.
Because it's like a thought for a lot of people, but to actually go through all the red tape to actually like figure it all out, like what motivated you to do that?
Yeah, so there's a few things, but kind of my process of applying to college.
Wait, my bad, I should have said what it is. So it's a scholarship that you want to say what it is just because
so it's a scholarship in my name at my high school for business students. So anyone that has any experience in business coursework, professional experience, work experience, and just like has curiosity and wants to innovate. It's a pretty broad criteria. So it's for any senior at Oak Park River Forest High School. It's a $1,500 financial award, so it's a one-time award. So there'll be a new winner each year. And then they also get access to an advisory board of OPRF alumni that are at various colleges or have recently graduated, to kind of provide them with any assistance, so like academic support, internship finding, but also just a community to share stuff with. So you found a cool YouTube video, you want to recommend a book, the advisory board serves as a community for the recipient to have access to.
What was like mentorship something you were always like kind of like fond of or like interested in that kind of like sparked an interest in you to want to start like a scholarship at your high school?
Yeah, so I feel like, it's like there's kind of two reasons why I started. So the first is like mentorship. Like I've had mentors through like everything that I've been able to accomplish. Like in sneaker reselling, I met amazing people that led me to sell 3,400 pairs. We were paired with a mentor for Ripple through the incubator program. So I feel like I always had people guiding me. So that was something that I felt like is one of the most useful things when you're trying to get off the ground. So being able to like serve as a mentor and then pairing other mentors together. So like some of the people on the advisory board include my brother or some of his friends. And these are people that like have always been there for me, people that have like taught me stuff. So I thought it'd be really cool to like have all of us work together and kind of like shape more mentors. Like we want like kind of one of our goals is to have like the recipient become a mentor one day, like become an advisor on the board. And then kind of the second reason why I started it. So I received a scholarship at Illinois, so it's like a full ride. So I don't pay for tuition or room and board.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Very blessed for that. Very blessed. So that's the STAMP scholarship, and that was like the primary motivator to start the scholarship. I felt like I couldn't like receive something like this was like out of nowhere. Like I had no idea this thing existed. I literally got like an email one day, and it was like interview for this. And then I first got a full tuition, then it was like interview for the full ride. I went down to campus and it happened. And it was like one of the most amazing days of my life, most amazing thing to happen. And I'm like it's senior year and I'm like checked out of school. And I'm like, there's no way I can receive something like this and just like not do anything. Just like move on with life, go to college, like have fun, get involved. Like there has to be a way for me to like start something. So I'm like, I want to start my own scholarship program.
Yeah, it's so awesome, man.
Yeah,
I mean, we think about everything we've talked about, but also everything you've done, right? And it's a resume of just awesome stuff. Not even like in that like corporate setting, like a resume,
right?
But just a list of things where you look back on, you're like, damn, I did this, and you feel a little sense of pride, right?
Right.
But just like everything else, we are the way we are, like due to the people around us, but also our environment, right? So, what do you think were some of the biggest influences that you had on who you are that led to, I guess, the motor to be able to accomplish all the things you have?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think it's definitely difficult to like pinpoint like what's your biggest motivator. Like when someone asks you, like, what are you motivated by? But I think for me, like I've always there's a few different ways I could approach this. So my parents are like very supportive. They always like I definitely owe so much to them. They always supported me and my siblings in anything we wanted to do. Like I remember within the same year, my brother wanted to be a professional soccer player and a professional Fortnite player, and my parents were like fine with it. Like he made a slideshow to convince them on why he was gonna do esports and not college, which he's not doing that, but it's just like an example of my parents are very supportive. So I feel like I tried so many things. Like I'm making flyers for a lemonade stand, I'm doing this, and they're not shutting me down. They're like, yeah, go out and do it, have fun, get your cousins, do this, try to make money, get the experience. But I think I should give credit to myself too. Like a lot of it just comes within. I've always just been like very ambitious, wanting to start stuff, wanting to build things. And it's like hard to like understand like from like a young age like how someone would have that, but it's just always something that's like lived with me. And lastly, this is like more personal, but like I I feel like in high school, like sometimes I struggled like fitting in or like wanting to be something that I wasn't. Like chasing the wrong group of friends was a big thing. And entrepreneurship and like sneaker reselling was kind of like an outlet for me, like a way to do something with my time. And then it kind of just turned into something that I loved and something that really like was me. Like, this is who I am. Like, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to start things. I want to meet people that are working on different things that have all these awesome ideas. And like, so it not only gave me like that experience to like have that professional experience on a resume, which is great, but it also taught me like so much about myself. And so I think it was like a combination of me pushing myself to always do more, but also like kind of just looking to as like, I need something to do. Where do I go? Like, I'm lost right now. What's something I can do?
I want to say, like, I feel like that's been a little bit of a recurring thing. Like, a lot of people who I've met or like we've had on the podcast who have been like into entrepreneurship, it was like their outlet. Or like maybe like we've had like music artists on in the past. It was like their outlet,
right?
Because like they didn't necessarily have like their place to go, and they just felt like that was
exactly
their like thing to do. And it seems like you've like used that as well. And I also think like some of the stuff you've done, like, it's been like consistently very like rewarding to like your personal life as well.
Right.
Like, obviously you started with lemonade stand, all the basic get your mind into entrepreneurship stuff. But then also like then you move into sneaker reselling, and then that's like just teaching you like the ropes of like true entrepreneurship, like buying stuff, selling it at a higher rate or higher price or whatever. But then like then you moved into Ripple. That's like obviously very like rewarding because you're helping families help with like a grievance that's from losing a loved one. And then obviously the scholarship is like huge, right? Because I mean, you along with like the people you have on your advisory board are able to kind of help a student every year from OPRF just like succeed in the business world. And that's just really awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And yeah, I think the most rewarding like ventures and like projects are things that like you get something out of, but like you're providing value, and it's just like all around. And like I feel like I've learned to like kind of find those things, and I think those are the things that like you can be passionate about, like when you have that like personal connection and that like story to tell.
Yeah. One thing this will be the last thing that we kind of wrap up on. One thing I always think about is, what if Aiden like mowed one lawn and then stopped? You know?
Yeah. What if you sold one shoe?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, what if you were like, you resold, you're like, oh, I only make $20. Like, what the hell? And you're like, oh, okay, like, what if Austin went to go pitch like Brothers Nuts in a store and just flopped? It's like, oh, I can't do this again. And honestly, I feel like there's a lot of stories that are like that, but you just don't hear them, right? Because, like, like, what if Grayson after 1 year was like, oh, like I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm gonna go play esports or whatever it may be.
Right.
And then there's also a lot of people that are on that cycle of like 3 months stop their project, 3 months stop, 3 months stop, and you almost like build a bridge out like 3 steps, go back, you know. And that's like a Hormozy metaphor.
Right.
But we found a way to snuck him in this episode. But anyways, that's always like very present in my mind, right? What would you say to someone that is maybe in that position, like they like just sold like their first shoe, but they're like, okay, I don't know if I'm like really gonna be able to do this anymore, but they can't see the future of what it may be, right? What would be your words to them, like to like keep going, or also to be able to see deep enough into the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few ways to approach that, and I've dealt with it for 100%. I'm like honestly dealing with it right now with Ripple. It's like it's been really hard for us to run it while we're in college. It's a really tough market to break into. It's a lot different than selling shoes. And I think sometimes you need to just take your mind off of something, like put it to the side, think about other things, and maybe come back to it. It doesn't I think a lot of entrepreneurs would approach it in the way of like, just scrap it, come up with something else, forget about it. If it was meant to happen, it was meant to happen. And I think I talked with you a little bit about this at the gym
burnout,
session.
right?
Yeah.
You were like, it's not burnout.
Yeah. Like it's not burnout. It's a combination of timing. It's a combination of, is this something that you're really passionate about? Like I think people use burnout as an excuse for like, I'm not really interested in working on like a business right now, like, and I'm guilty of that 100%. But I think like my overall advice for someone that's dealing with that is like just put it to the side for a sec. Kind of take a step back and think about like everything else that's going on around, like what else is affecting that, why it's not going anywhere besides yourself. And just kind of come back to it like at another time. Like that's kind of what has happened to me in the past, and I think a lot of people like can resonate with that. And yeah, definitely something to think about with like the burnout thing. I'm trying to look more at that too. Just like what does burnout mean? Is it real? Like we can obviously overwork our bodies like physically where we cannot do more, and mentally. But I think a lot of people just throw it around. Where it's maybe not necessarily true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is probably a term that is overused.
Yeah.
There's a real quick when we were when COVID hit, right? There was like, this is a small story from Hormozy. I'm sorry, bro. We got fine, so far we wasn't brought up.
Dude, we have like a joke that it's not really a joke.
No, I actually think
true.
every single episode.
Can you not bring it up in an episode or?
Honestly, it usually brings value to the episode, but like he has like it's come up in a way that's brought value to the episode in every single episode, and he does bring it up.
I just cite him because I don't want to ever say something and then someone would be like, "Oh, bro, like that's literally his exact words."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, like, you're right." So I'm just like, "Yeah, I just want to be able to say it."
Valid.
But when COVID hit, right at the beginning, a lot of restaurants closed.
Yeah.
Right. And at the beginning, the restaurants that closed, they kind of just used it as, and I'm not a restaurant owner, so I guess I can't really speak with too much. Like, this is generalization. Grain of salt. But a lot of them that closed right away, they hadn't really encountered the full financial drawbacks of the pandemic. It more, at least it seemed, was just a reason to quit, right? A lot of the ones that really got ravaged by COVID and actually did fail because of COVID failed about like 8 months after.
Right.
But at the beginning, it just seemed like, oh, like I have a reason to be out. Like I'm just going to be out.
Right.
Right. And that kind of reminds me of where I've been a lot with the past with some of my projects, and also like what we were talking about, like from like a, I guess, more abstract perspective. Is a lot of times you just need a reason to stop, and then you just stop.
Yeah.
Because now you have a reason and it's excusable.
Fully. And it's not you just giving up to give up. Because that's not really accepted in like our society.
Yeah, you're not pointing the finger inward, it's always outward.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like at this point, great time to wrap it all up.
Great thing to think about.
So yeah, thank you, brother. If you got a hand free, it was a great time.
Guys, thank you.
Great time. I did with Jose, and I'm like, it's a vibe.
Is that our new thing? Dap him up at the end.
Maybe. Well, you get to see. I feel like it kind of fits the theme. Okay, I gotta stop yapping. I feel like it kind of fits the theme though, because you got a founder, but also like it's casual. Like we're all people at the end of the day, so you get to see what's behind the business.
You had a yappuccino before this.
No handshake.
Yeah, a little yappuccino. Okay, on this note, we will wrap up. Thank you again, and for those of you guys listening, I hope you have a great rest of your day, rest of your morning, night, whatever it may be. So, thank you all.